morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Date today is the 24th of May, year of our Lord 2024. Welcome to yet another edition of the Coping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Hinkle, aka Moton Noah, taping this on a beautiful Thursday night, about halfway through the fourth quarter of the Celtics Pacers game 2. I mean, this shit's over. That's why I was like, I don't need to really wait for any of this. Game's over. Finally, it happened. The Celtics had the game where they were like, yeah, I mean, we're the better team. I don't know why we're playing with our food and like acting like we're not supposed to win this series in like 5-ish games. We'll talk about it in a little bit. I want to talk about some stuff up top. I have a couple housekeeping notes that I want to tackle before we jump into today's show. Almost like some, maybe almost an apology up front. I got to apologize to our Canadian listeners for disparaging your heritage, your culture, your history. Because in the last episode, I misspoke. I learned something that I didn't know, and if there's ever a time to say, have you seen this, have you heard about this, it's probably right now. Dr. James Naismith he was a Canuck. He was a Canadian. I said that basketball, we were talking about the face of the league and how there's like this weird, it's like American exceptionalism. Motherfuckers are like, no, it has to be an American, the next face of the league. And it's like, well, it's going to be Victor Wembanyama, so what do you have to say about that? And it's like, I said something in passing about how, well, the sport was invented by an American, so naturally the face of the league has to be an American, and historically international players up until the last like decade haven't really like run this shit. It's really been Americans, but now it's a very global sport. And a couple of you guys, through virtue of the comments and even via the email, copingoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically, email will be available in the description wherever you're listening to the show, called me out. Rightfully so. And if nothing else, this is a podcast where it's not a podcast, but this is a show where we are not prone to putting a hand up, calling ourselves out, and reflecting on some misbehavior. Yeah, I apologize. That motherfucker was a Canadian? What? He lived there like, I thought he was from Kansas. I thought he was like throwing like tinfoil balls into like a fucking Coke can or whatever, a peach tree basket. That's what, a peach basket? Peach tree? I think I'm conflating Peachtree Dish and like a peach basket. Yeah, Dr. James Naismith was not an American. That was did you know that? It blew my mind. A guy emailed and I was like, he wasn't offended. I mean, he's a Canadian, so he was nice about it. Although I have an issue with that. Canadians are not nice people. There's like a weird, weird fallacy out there that Canadians are like just generally very nice people. They're fucking assholes. First, they're not nice people. They're just not. I don't know if there's like a specific like province of Canada where like most of the nice people are. But in my experience, all of the Canadians that I've dealt with, minus the lovely person who emailed into the show, and a few of you commenters, I don't know about you guys, but the guy who emailed into the show was very diligent about letting me know that I fucked up. He was nice about it. But for the most part, here's what it might be, is I'm probably thinking of all of the ones who are from like the French provinces, right? Like Quebec and stuff like that. They're the assholes. They're the problem. But the real, wow, we are off to the races here. Who are the real Canadians? Is it the French people or is it the Canadians? Or not the Canadians. Folks, let's talk about something else. We got another email. copingoursubs@gmail.com. This one came into us from Dylan. One more brief housekeeping note. In the previous episode, I asked you guys, hey, you know how you always see those Verizon ads, those AT&T ads, those T-Mobile ads, and they're like, oh, come switch your phone plan to us, and we'll give you like a free Apple Watch on the house. We'll give you a free iPad, free tablet, like a Samsung tablet on the house. And I was like, have any of you guys ever actually done that and gotten like cool shit for free from one of these like phone carriers? Because I've never heard of anybody who had. We got an email here from Dylan. Dylan, welcome to the show. Hey, Nick, quick answer to the Verizon thing from Monday's podcast. Went in with my dad to get a new phone about 6 months back. Saw the ad for a free watch with a new phone, so we asked very suspiciously. Turns out they're actually not lying. You really do get a brand new Apple Watch with your purchase, but there is a catch. The watch they give you has the data/service feature, and you have to agree to have Verizon as the carrier for the watch for at least a year. And then parenthetically said, at least in our case, I imagine it's the same for the tablet, probably. Monthly cost is around $10, so $120 for a brand new Apple Watch spread out over a year. Actually, a pretty good deal. Dylan, that does sound like a good deal. I guess maybe I misunderstood the email. My question would be, why the fuck am I paying for like a service on an iPad? An Apple Watch, I don't know. I've never had an Apple Watch, so I don't know. Maybe that makes sense. I guess that would technically, if it's paired with your phone, but I guess you can also pair an iPad with your phone. So like, you're like, what? You're like, huh? If AT&T was like, yeah, you need phone service on your iPad, somebody's getting murdered, I'm killing someone, I'm pulling out a gun. Whoa, okay, whoa. Okay, I appreciated that. And then another one, I don't have the comments up here to read directly, but I also asked a question where I was like, why are Europeans so obsessed with WhatsApp? Like, I assumed it was like an encryption thing. Duh, applesauce brain. That is not at all what it is. A few of you beautiful Europeans let me know that it's like a thing where different countries have like different agreements with how much you have to pay for, like, if it's something like if you are in a certain country that isn't in this certain agreement, then you have to pay like 10 cents a text. I'm going to be honest, if anybody makes me pay 10 cents a text for anything, somebody's getting murdered. I'm pulling out a gun. Okay, Nick, hold on. So we got the Boston Celtics and the Indiana Pacers. I'm assuming the Celtics are going to, 32 seconds left. They're up by 20. This shit's over. What are we even talking about this being a series for? And I mean this with all due respect. I love the Pacers. I do. I'm being hyperbolic. I don't like them that much. I like them. I don't love them that much. But it's when you talk about the best team in the East, we were thinking the Celtics and we were thinking the Knicks. And then the Knicks got decimated by injuries. You lost Jalen Brunson at the tail end of Game 7. Josh Hart was fucking around and was kind of not there for Game 6 like at all. OG missed some time. No Julius Randle. No Mitchell Robinson. No Bogdanovich. And so the Pacers just took advantage of their availability. And then also in Game 7, like shooting 70% from the field, which is an anomaly in and of itself. And so you don't fault them for that at all. And it's been a really fun ride. But when you think about, like, there are just levels to this shit. And that Game 1, we're just like, what is happening is here. What is going on? I thought this game was, if there wasn't a score bug and you couldn't see that the Celtics were smoking the game and that Indiana just kept hanging around, and eventually it goes to overtime thanks to Jaylen Brown, which we'll have some commentary on that shot in just a second. Watching that game, what the fuck is going on here, Boston? Like, I went into this series thinking to myself, there's probably going to be a point, maybe 2 games, but at least one game where Indiana wins. And I don't really know that it's going to be at the hands of them shooting, 70% from the field again. I just feel like it would be more of like Boston being asleep at the wheel, because for a team that had just refused to play defense all year in the Pacers, like, it's just really hard to match the output, the avalanche that the Celtics can almost like perpetuate onto your defense. It just felt like it was going to be chalk. I tell you what, man, Jason Tatum, 19 points in the second half, 7 of 12 from the field. Wow, 2 for 8 in the first half. After that first half, people were probably like, is Jason Tatum bitch made? How about that second half, folks? Here's my thing. I got a few notes from that first game. We got a double bang from Mike Breen. Did you guys hear that? Did you guys catch that? It would be impossible if you didn't. Here's a note for posterity for those who command it. My girlfriend, she was in the kitchen, which is around this corner. If you're watching the video version of this podcast, right around the corner of where I am is where the kitchen is, and then right to my immediate left, you can see the reflection of the TV. That's where the TV is. So I'm sitting here watching the game. Jaylen Brown from the corner puts up that shot with a hand in his face. Bang, 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 from Mike Breen to send it to overtime. I immediately pull out my phone, text to my brother, I'm in all caps, a double bang from Mike Breen while I'm in the middle of typing the text. My girlfriend, she goes from the next room. She goes, was that a double bang? I scrapped the text to my brother. I start looking up engagement rings. Fellas, am I right? When she starts commenting on, was that a motherfucking double bang from Mike Breen? Do you understand how rare it is? At the risk of sounding like I'm a sexist idiot, do you understand, fellas? Just think about it. because she's of course into sports. She's into everything that we watch, so she knows. But it just caught me off guard. That is a very specific thing to be able to catch a double bang from Mike Breen. Yes, sweetheart, that is exactly what it was. But then I eventually sent a text to my brother, and he's talking. His response, such a wet blanket, my brother was about it. He goes, man, I don't think it deserved it. I don't think that moment warranted a double bang. I go, Matthew, what the hell are you talking about? I go, the stakes of that moment from a guy like Jaylen Brown to hit that shot, a tough bucket, a stank face bucket that Jaylen Brown hit to not to close out the game, but to close out regulation, right? I go, we're talking about the Celtics, the number 1 seed, on the doorstep, the precipice of going down 0-1 in that series. I don't give a fuck like who they're playing, even if they're like playing down to their opponent. What are the Pacers? The scorebug's gone to the 6th seed this year, right? Are they the 5 seed, 5 or 6 seed, whatever they are? You're playing down to the Pacers that entire game. I don't care, man. It's the Eastern Conference Finals. That shot has consequence, man. It's the stakes of that moment. Of course, it deserved a double bang, and I was so happy to witness that live. I don't know if there's isn't that such a fun? It's why I love broadcasting, man, is when you are able to pick up on these quirks, these catchphrases, and the way that they can, the magnitude of them, right? That when you're able to identify, like, trying to think of, like, I don't know, Kevin Harlan has, when somebody throws in a nasty putback dump, parachuting in. Oh, Aaron Gordon parachutes in to put the Nuggets up 7. Rest in peace to the Nuggets, right? But for all intents and purposes, like, he loves doing that. But the double bang is illustrious. It's rare. It really lets you know that what you just watched has historic precedent. Now, has a historic precedent. Now, I don't really know if we're going to, let's assume Boston wins the title. Ooh, impromptu mental exercise. If Boston wins the title and we look at the Celtics run in totality from October to June, where does the Jaylen Brown shot that elicited a double bang from Mike Breen rank in the pantheon of moments from the Celtics season? Now, it technically remains to be seen. I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, this is a tough mental exercise to be doing when I don't know. What have the Celtics been doing this year? They blew a 30-point lead to Atlanta like a month and a half ago, which was something that people thought was really funny. Other than that, I don't fucking know. Can we talk about something that I've been chewing on, man? I've been thinking about this for a couple days now. I finally did the deep dive. I'm watching game 1 of this. I got shit else to say about game 2. I got some stuff to say about it, but we'll get to that in a second. While I was watching game 1, Pacers Celtics, I'm watching Myles Turner tool around out there. I'm watching him just have a good time. And I'm thinking to myself, I go, damn, how long has Myles Turner been a Pacer? This is 9th year as an Indiana Pacer. I go, I'm thinking about what we talked about on Monday, and I go, we'll never talk about statues on this show. Oh, does this guy deserve a statue? That's peak sicko shit. That's just not what we do around here. I'll have a conversation about, does this guy get his jersey retired, though? And yes, you know where this is going. Now, and hold on and stay with me. Myles Turner, this is his 9th season with the Pacers. Okay. Everything I'm about to list off is in it through the lens of all-time Indiana Pacer ranks, okay? He's 9th in games played. He's 4th in made threes, 9th in defensive rebounds for posterity, not in the top 10 for offensive rebounds. I thought that was interesting. And he's, of course, 1st in blocks. Also not top 10 in steals. I'll just throwing that out there. I don't know if that's going to surprise any of you. It did surprise me a little bit. Not even top 10 in steals? Okay, all right. I thought he kind of threw his arms into passing lanes pretty well, deflected some passes. Maybe he's top 10 in deflections. I bet that's the thing. But anyways, he is 1st in blocks, not in the top 10 in steals. Has no All-Star games, no All-Star game appearances, and 1 top 5 defensive player of the year finish through 9 seasons. I think what else is important here is think to yourself the last decade. of NBA basketball. Is there an NBA player who has been subject to more trade rumors than him? I mean, it's seemingly every year. It's certainly cooled down, I'd say, in the last two. Maybe since Halliburton got there, people have kind of started to be like, I think maybe Myles Turner is here to stay. But for the previous, what would that have been, 7? Folks, you were around. You saw it the way that I saw it. Every single year, this team's got interest in Myles Turner. Oh, I remember there was one year Myles Turner was going for three round picks. That was the asking price. Yesterday's price is not today's price. What does he go for today? Not a goddamn thing, folks. Not a goddamn thing, because Myles Turner isn't going anywhere. 9 years as a Pacer, has seemingly not seemingly, he just has avoided every single trade rumor that he has been involved in. And I think, playing 9 years for a team in the NBA in 2024, what are the numbers on that? In 2024, the number of players who have played at least 9 seasons for an NBA team, it's sub 10%. At most, it's sub 10%, right? I think, you got Steph in there. Victor will be on there. Giannis is this is Giannis's 10th year, maybe 11th year. Giannis is past 9. Sneaky, I would have thought Trae Young would have been on this list, but it seems like maybe we're going to trend in an opposite direction. I don't know if he quite gets to 9 years. I'd be like, if he's not gone this summer, I'd be shocked. But I mean, hey, stranger things have happened. Victor Wembanyama will get there, and the list could go on. Did KD get there with Oklahoma City? He got close. Maybe did he play exactly 9 years with Oklahoma City? Although some people would argue that exactly what I'm talking about of, how rare it is that a dude will play 9 years for an NBA team was spearheaded by Kevin Durant and his tomfoolery going to Golden State. Those people are idiots, by the way. Those people are fucking morons. They're not right. Don't listen to. They're not right. They think they're not right. I gotta tell you though, No, don't sidetrack. Do the Kevin Durant thing in just a second. I say all of that just to say, are we retiring Myles Turner's jersey in Indiana? Are we retiring 33? That's what I want to ask. I set all of that up just to ask that question. And then if you don't think so, can we settle on something else? Can we just agree on something else? When the Pacers, regardless of how his career ends, I don't give a fuck how this series goes. If Indiana, they don't make the finals, which probably not going to, down 2-0 at this point. I mean, weren't they down 2-0 to the Knicks, though? It's not going to happen. It's different. It's just different unless Jason Tatum dies, which I don't want to manifest that. I don't want to manifest Jason Tatum dying. But unless he dies, like the Celtics are just going to win this series. His resume being Myles Turner, as it stands, I think is more Ring of Honor pilled than it is jersey retirement, if that makes sense. They'll bring him out. They'll have Myles Turner night when he's 5 years, removed from the NBA, whatever it ends up being. A guy who has been able to shoot threes. And did I say, was he on the, let me just, fourth and made threes. The fuck? He's a big man. And you're going to say, well, by the time he got into the league, the big men shooting threes, that era had sort of been ushered into the league. Bullshit. 2015 were bigs shooting threes? They weren't. If you think they were, you're at the risk of sounding rude. My mom said to me a couple weeks ago when she drove down from Michigan, she goes, sometimes you're kind of rude to your listeners. At the risk of sounding rude, once again, you're a fucking liar. Myles Turner, does he get his jersey retired by the Indiana Pacers? Let me know down in the comments. Send an email in, copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled out phonetically. Email will be available in the description wherever you're listening to the show. You can leave, I know some of you guys like to leave comments on the Spotify episodes. I do read all of them. I don't think I can respond to those. I don't think there's actually a way for me to do that. So I will always read them, but there's shit that I can do about it. So another thing I wanted to mention, this pertains to both the Celtics series and the Timberwolves Maverick series. At the risk of sounding like I'm being comparative, well, I am. So the Boston crowd sucks. So TD Garden is just the vibes are bad and the crowd sucks. Because when you're speaking comparatively, and you watch Game 1 of Minnesota and Dallas, and the Game 1 specifically, right? I'm watching Dallas kind of like play with their food. I'm watching Boston like kind of play with their food a little bit too much, and the game kind of like goes off the rails at some point, and the Pacers go up like 5 late in that game, and you're like, holy shit, are they about to smoke? Is Boston really about to smoke this game? The Celtics crowd, I hate when people do this because it sounds like I'm psychoanalyzing shit that isn't real, but it's like, dog, it's almost like a palpable sense of entitlement that unless they are hanging banner number 18, they're like, we don't care. We don't give a shit about this game at all unless Jaylen Brown is doing some whoop-de-whoop shit from 27 feet from the basket, or Derek White is doing some like bald-headed baseline cut. You know what I mean? Then we'll get on our feet and we'll do a little oooh-rah. I'm watching Minnesota against Denver in Game 7. Their motherfuckers are down 20. They're down wait, that doesn't make sense. That game was in Denver. Right? Hold on. Do I need to... Whoa, what game am I thinking of? I have watched, in these playoffs, is my point, Minnesota being down at home by significant numbers, and that crowd, what do? They're down 15, and you hear, defense. They want to get their guys into it, man. The atmosphere matters. They feed off of that shit. People say it doesn't matter. That shit absolutely matters. It's just different. It's just different when you're a franchise, when you're a fan base who's hungry, who truly doesn't know what it feels like to get to the promised land. And that's what I mean about Celtics fans, is it feels like, for as much as, some of you aren't going to like this, as much as I'm rooting for the Celtics to win this series, fuck those fans, man. Oh my God, what an annoying crowd. Like, be excited about something. Be excited about something, like, for once. Yeah, it bothered me. Some other things that I noticed from this series that I wanted to point out. I'm watching Freudian slip. I'm watching Minnesota and I'm watching Dallas, Game 1. And early in the second half, a ref, you suck chant breaks out. And for some reason in that moment, I couldn't help it. I couldn't help but feel a little bit empathetic towards the ref. I don't remember who it was. I don't think it was the Gucci Mane ref. I think he's doing the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't remember who it was. Or might have been Tony Brothers. Which one is he doing? I don't remember who it was. But that chant starts breaking out. And I start thinking to myself, I go, what's the psychology of that? I go, what does that feel like to be chanted? Ref, you suck. And when it's the home crowd, do you feel the pressure of a makeup call? And I paid very close attention for the next, 2.5 to 3 minutes. I go, the next call that goes in Minnesota's favor, how bullshit is it? Is it like ticky-tack, or does it feel consequential? Now, where we were in the game, there was just no way that I was going to feel like it mattered at all. And it didn't. I remember it was literally something ticky-tack. Like, all right, well, there's the makeup call, and that's what it is. Or, whatever. But you get what I'm asking here. I just wonder if some of these dudes are like, man, maybe that was a bad call, or like, I don't want them to get in my ass even more than they already are. I'm going to give them this whistle here. The moment doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. I thought that was fun. Another thing that I noticed from this first game between Dallas and Minnesota, hold on, stay with it, Nick. I'm watching Kyrie Irving do some voodoo shit in that first half. After, of course, Anthony Edwards at the end of Game 7 against Denver was like, yeah, Kyrie is my matchup. Like, that's my guy. Everybody collectively around the country, around the world, that is pearl clutch material if you ever heard it. Anthony Edwards calling out Kyrie Irving being like, that's my guy in the series. Like, that's who I'm guarding. That's must see, right? We all need to see that. And then it was so funny watching Kyrie after Game 1 being like, motherfucker, I was watching Game 7 with my family in the living room, and Anthony Edwards is just like, Kyrie Irving, like, bring your ass. I'm good. Like, your food. That's my matchup. And Kyrie was like, we all saw how that first half went. Here's what my takeaway was. I'm watching Kyrie in the first half, and I think to myself, I don't know if I have been alive for a player in the NBA who I watch make tougher shots that make me audibly react by going, oh, tough shot, tough bucket, like stank face in that shit per capita, per game than Kyrie Irving in my life. I don't think I've ever seen somebody who takes as difficult of shots as he does while making seemingly all of them. And then on the shoot around earlier, we were we dissected it a little bit, and I've been really trying to think like who are some of the other players that are in the modern era that I've watched, but mainly like right now in the league that I would also put in that same category. Kyrie's number one. Kyrie puts shit up there that you're like, because like he'll catch the ball on the baseline and then like take 2 dribbles, get to his spot on the elbow, and then like use his left to like go glass. And there's also like 2 hands in his face and a dude trailing behind him, and it doesn't matter, and it just like goes in. You're what? So he's number one. I don't think it's close. I mean, anybody. I don't think it's just Kyrie, right? Sneaky though, if anybody would, Luka is up there too. But if I could only pick one Maverick, unfortunately, Luka, I would pick Kyrie. Who else is on there? Donovan Mitchell. Oh, and here's what I said on the shoot around was I was like, I don't know if there's a player in the NBA who I go me personally that I go more time in between watching him. Like I'll go a month without. I have no idea what Donovan Mitchell is doing. I don't know what he's up to. And then like you'll tune into a Cavs game, and for me this happened in the Magic series. You just watch him, and you're like, who the fuck is this? Who is this guy? Is this the face of the league? Is this the MVP? Who the fuck is this? Where did this guy come from? The shit that he puts up and is able to make seemingly everything going in. He's definitely on there. Now, the third player, the final player that I will mention for this, like, tough bucket list, audible reaction list, DeMar DeRozan. I don't have anything else to add to it. He's just kind of always been that guy. You know what I mean? I would put DeMar DeRozan. So Kyrie Irving, who the fuck was the second guy that I said? And then DeMar DeRozan. Another thing that I wanted to mention. Oh wait, no, that was all the stuff that I want to mention. Oh yeah, something. God damn it! I should have mentioned this at the beginning when I was actually talking about the Pacers and the Celtics. Nah, I'll stick with this. I'll stick with Dallas and I'll stick with Minnesota because I do have something else to say about that. Is this for you guys too? The series that you didn't realize how long you had been waiting for? And I don't just mean this year. I don't. I mean, I don't know through one game. No hyperbole bullshit. I'm being so for real. I realized this in the second quarter. I don't know the last time I watched a playoff series in the NBA that I was glued to. That I was like, if I look away from this, I might throw up. If I miss one bucket in this series, I might throw up because of the physicality, because of the shot making and the shot making difficulty, and the teams that are involved, the players that are involved. I'm like maybe the last time I was as captivated by a series was 2018, Houston and Golden State. I was obsessed with that series, folks. That was 6 years ago. That was 6 years ago, and I don't even know if that's really the series that I mean. I don't know what it is. I think the only word that I can think to describe when I watch a Dallas Mavericks, Minnesota Timberwolves Western Conference Finals, a championship berth on the line, is refreshing. That's the word. It's refreshing. Because we've talked on this show about, wow, it's going to be, the 6th year in a row that we have a unique champion in the NBA. Somebody who has never won a championship before, as a number one guy, is about to win a ring. And that in and of itself is I think, enough to excite anybody. Although I do kind of want to talk about something for a second. I hate to be this guy. I do and I don't. Because narratives are having a moment in the NBA. And if there's anything that this show has historically been about, it's narratives. I like to think we do narratives on this show. People talk, anytime I talk about anything, why does this show have to be political? I don't know, because it's the essence of the show. This show is about being terminally online. I'm sorry, I apologize if you can hear the sirens in the background. But one of the narratives that we have been covering on this show that I am repulsed by, I'm disgusted by, is the people who are like, is Anthony Edwards going to be, are the fucking police on my balcony? I really hope you guys can hear this so I'm not crazy, because Jesus Christ, as soon as I start talking about, is Anthony Edwards the best player in the world, the fucking police show up at my door, which they should, because what the fuck are people talking about? It's this culture in the NBA about like every young player, every guy who's 25 and under, who is the number one or number two guy on a team who makes a deep playoff run, there's this compulsive need to overreact and to stamp them as something that they might not actually be, because they are just sort of playing through the circumstances that they were dealt, right? And while I think two things could be true about Anthony Edwards, that one, he could actually fit the bill, and everything that people are saying for a dude like him could absolutely be true, because he is that bitch, right? But the second thing is, I think people are just excited that somebody new is kind of in the fray, and that a top draft pick in recent years is really going out there in a major way and winning some games. So much so that people were talking about him being, does he kind of remind you of a young Michael Jordan? Is that kind of what you get out of him? Anthony Edwards has scored less than 20 points in 5 of his 12 playoff games. Did you hear that? Did you hear me say that? You know how many times Michael Jordan did that? Like 6. And that motherfucker played in like 170 playoff games. I just had to be quiet and let that marinate with you guys for a second. What are we talking about? Because do you realize what happens when we do this? When we talk about Anthony Edwards, is he the best player in the league? Holy shit, is he having a moment? He is, but he's not the best player in the league. He's up there, right? If you want to do a whole Mount Rushmore, who are the best players in the league, if you want to put him up there right now, sure, I'll let you bullshit your way into it. I'm not going to be mad at you. But what's going to happen if he poops his pants in this series? You're going to have a conversation with your motherfucking self where you sit there and you're like, damn, did we kind of hype this dude up and then he ended up having a bad series? I mean, I tell you motherfucking what, this guy is sitting there in the second half of this game against Dallas with his damn hands pulling down his shorts for the majority of the time, because he's gassed, because that's what happens when you call out Kyrie Irving, because there's not shit that you can do about him defensively. And it sounds like I'm being a hater. It sounds like I'm doing a whole thing where I'm like, Anthony Edwards actually doesn't even belong in the league. No, stop. I love Anthony Edwards. I love him. But we can take a hard look at ourselves in the mirror and say that, what the fuck is this? What are we talking about here? Anthony Edwards being the best player in the world. If your answer here, and here's my thing, if your answer for who is the best player in the world, in 5 years, whatever, right? Or like not who's the best player in the world, but who's the face of the league? Because I do actually think those are two different things. If your answer is anything other than Victor Wembanyama, again, at the risk of my mom thinking that I'm sounding rude, you're a fucking idiot. You're dumb. I'm not listening. I don't want to have a conversation with you. I don't want to talk to you. And that's somebody who loves talking. That's somebody, I love having conversations, but I'm not talking to you about this shit. Right? And you know what, folks? Here's Victor Wembanyama being not first team All NBA, first team All Defense as a rookie. That was the first time that ever happened. Really? Did that surprise any of you guys too? I read that on like the bottom ticker. I was like, really? Hey, here's something actually. I feel like there was something else I was supposed to say there, and maybe I'll come back to it. Pistons hired a new president of basketball operations. Let me just pull up his name here again. It's Trajan Landon. I think it's Trajan Landon. And I apologize for butchering his name if I did, because not to sound like Tom Brenneman, but I pride myself on being able to pronounce certain names. Although Erdogan, the Turkish fucker, has given me a lot of trouble. I only learned last week it's not Erdogan. I thought that it was. So, okay, the Pistons have a new president of basketball operations. Oh, okay. He's due from the Pelicans. Oh, okay. Who was his former agent? Will you guys look that up for me? It was motherfucking Arn Tellem. The league needs to step in. This guy is a fucking criminal. And I understand that there was a point in time where Arn Tellem represented 15% of the league. And for a league that only has, 300 some odd players, that's a lot. I mean, 15% is a lot. So it's hard not to have some overlap. Over that. You talk about, who else is an Arn Tellem client, by the way? A former client is JJ Redick. Keep that motherfucker away from this franchise. So, okay, the Pistons bring in the Pels dude. Oh, okay. Pretty good track record. Literally, I'm not going to pretend to know anything about him because I don't. The only things that I know about him, Pelicans fans gave him credit for all of their success and blamed David Griffin for all of their shortcomings. So, okay, cool. I guess we got the good one. That's cool. I don't even have a problem with David Griffin, but all right. Well, wait, no, I'm thinking of Dan Gilbert. Fuck Dan Gilbert. Like, hard fuck Dan Gilbert. Fuck that guy. Like, capital H, hate him. And then Sean Marks also really, really liked him, too, when he was with Brooklyn. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, that's cool. I like Sean Marks, too. He's a pretty smart dude. Like, oh, okay. So where do we go here now? Just Brandon Ingram? Does that mean that Brandon sealed and signed? She's not my level like Billie Jean, but the kid is mine. Does that mean that Brandon Ingram is coming to Detroit? Is that the takeaway here? I guess maybe it could be. I don't know, maybe. And then there's this report that comes out from Bleacher Report that's like, the Pistons would be open to firing Monty Williams. What an insane headline. That the Pistons would be open to firing Monty Williams. The guy who, the headline being devoid of context, the guy who just led the team to the worst season that they've ever had in, 80 years, give or take, of existing? I mean, I'm conflating Detroit and Fort Wayne, but cut me some fucking slack, right? I'm sitting here, I got a 1-month-old sleeping in the next room. I got my in-laws are coming to town tomorrow. Our son sitting here, you hold him in the middle of the night. He's hiccuping and farting at the same time, won't go to sleep, needs to eat 16 ounces every 5 minutes. By the time he's done hiccuping and farting, he's pooped his pants. All right, fine, I'll go to change him. Oh, well, then he throws up. All right, you clean up the throw up. Oh, but then he pees all over his own face. All right, I'll clean that. You think I got time for this shit? I don't have time for this shit literally at all. Monty Williams, though they're open to firing Monty Williams, fuck out of here. Oh, we'll eat the $80 million if we have to. Fuck you. It doesn't even count against the cap. Why are we even talking about this? As if I get much stress I got in my life right now, talking about, the Pistons would be open to firing Monty Williams. I will kill someone. Why do I keep doing this? I'm not going to kill anyone. I'm not going to murder anyone if Monty Williams is our coach next year. Although, here's my question. Fire him. Okay, all right, okay, you fired Monty Williams. You're the Cavs. You're basically what the Cavs just did, where you waited like a semi-weird amount of time to fire J.B. Bickerstaff. Like, usually when a team loses a playoff series, within 2 days, the coach is gone. And even then, the coach knows, like, I'm out of here, right? Like, when they're doing their exit interviews, they're like, my ass is out of here. Sometimes they don't even make it to the exit interviews, and that shit's like a day later, right? Okay, so the Cavs fired J.B. Bickerstaff. Who the fuck is out there? Who's out there? What a weird time to fire a coach. Bud just got picked up by Phoenix. Report comes out. Yeah, we're looking at James Borrego. I'll murder someone if James Borrego is the coach of the Cavs. I will kill someone on live TV. And you talk about, and then they throw out Kenny Atkinson, the Silicon Valley lizard man himself, the tech giant. I don't have a joke for this. Kenny Atkinson is on the list, the short list, I guess, for being the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't think there's a guy in the league who you've heard his name thrown around more in the last few years, despite him, like, evading every single job offer that gets thrown. He's like, man, I don't really feel like it. I'm just going to stay in Golden State. You're like, all right. You're like, all right, that's cool. But if you're the Cavs, and I don't know what's going on with them. Genuinely, I don't. I don't know. I'm just not plugged in enough. Because they hate Bickerstaff. Hated, I guess, past tense, rest in peace. Got murdered by Dan Gilbert. Fuck that. God, I hate Dan Gilbert. Hate him. Because he big-timed me into real life in downtown Detroit. Nobody else was around. Nobody. It was literally just me, my brother, Dan Gilbert. It was just us three, and he bitched us. I hate Dan Gilbert to this day. Oh, well, Nick, he's famous. He probably just didn't want to be bothered. Fuck you, is my response to that. What was I talking about? Oh, James Borrego? Yeah, I mean, he hates young... Oh, and then the thing I wanted to say was, so they don't like J.B. Bickerstaff down in Cleveland, but they also hate Darius Garland. I guess I understand that one a little bit, but also I don't, because Is it? Well, maybe I do, because it's a very "what have you done for me lately" league in the NBA. Remember, like a year or 2 years ago, wasn't it the year that the All-Star game was in Cleveland that Garland got voted in? Maybe as I don't remember, a reserve. However the fuck, it doesn't miss the same star on Basketball Reference, all the same. It doesn't fucking matter. Whatever year that was, Darius Garland made an All-Star team, which did happen. Pretty sure that did happen. Motherfuckers were like, he's the second coming of Christ. And 2 years go by, and people act like he's Killian Hayes. You're like, what? And you're like, huh. So then the gears start to spin a little bit. Doot, doot, doot. Put some grease in there. And you're like, okay. So you wonder if getting the number 1 pick in Atlanta maybe changes the timeline on the Trae Young thing. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so San Antonio can't go after Trae Young. A franchise, by the way, that doesn't really make that many trades ever. And if they do, it has to be in the offseason. The Spurs are not making a trade in the middle of the season. You also wouldn't make a trade for like a Darius Garland or a Trae Young in the middle of the season. You just wouldn't. Unless it was like a contract thing. You just wouldn't do that. Well, even then, you just wouldn't do it, right? Okay, so do the Spurs want Darius Garland? How do you guys like that? If we can't do Trae Young and Victor Wembanyama, which is maybe the best case scenario here, sneaky if there was a way to do Tyrese Halliburton and Victor Wembanyama. Oh my god. But that can't happen. That's foolishness. That's not real. That's 2K shit. That's not real. Okay, so who else do you want? Well, after that, yeah, man. I mean, look at Trae Young. That's like the most realistic option. Okay, well, who's after that? Probably Darius Garland. And then who's after that? Sign Russell Westbrook in free agency. And then after that, you're shit out of luck. Go get like Tyus Jones or something. Reunite him and his brother. Like, I guess that would be fun. But I was like, Atlanta getting the number 1 pick, do they change course? And they're like, wait, what if we are like really sold on like Buzelis? I'm just throwing out a name, arbitrary. I don't know, one of the guys in the draft, Buzelis, maybe Sarr, but probably Buzelis at number 1, and Trae Young. Or wait, do they move maybe Atlanta moves the pick? Do they? Oh, let's get weird. Oh, let's get nasty. Let's get sick. I'm gonna be. Is Travis Schlenk still the Hawks GM? I don't know. I don't know if he is. I'm sorry, Hawks fans, if he's not. Let's do a mental exercise. I'm gonna be Travis Schlenk and Troy Weaver. Bring, bring. Hey, Troy. It's Trav. Looking to trade back in this year's draft. I don't, if you guys got the juice for it. We were looking at Jaden Ivey, and we were thinking maybe there's some, we want to keep Trae Young, and we're thinking maybe something could materialize here if you guys want Sarr, and, you can't get him at 5. You can't get him at 5. So, and Troy goes, well, he goes, all right, so we swap 5 and 1. Okay. And then you want Ivy. We want DeJounte Murray. And then you can have, because I don't know what DeJounte Murray's contract is. I'm breaking the phone call, by the way. I don't know what his contract is. Back to the phone call. So, we'll throw in Stu and then, like, stuff. So it's, what the fuck is this trade? Troy's not saying that. That's me saying that. So back to Troy. Troy goes, so we're going to do number 5, Jaden Ivey, Isaiah Stewart, and stuff. As long as it's not Cade, it's just stuff. For number 1 and DeJounte Murray. There's going to be some dead air for a second while I think about this. Yes. No. What the fuck? Well, no. Yeah, because if you get Sarr, you play... Whoa. Because you could do... Well, would Duran have to be part of the quote-unquote stuff? Because then it would make sense. Whoa. Holy shit. Cade at the 1. DeJounte Murray at the 2. God, this is fucking gross. Asar Thompson at the 3. Tobias Harris at the 4. Or Miles Bridges. It's going to be one of them. All right? It's going to be one of them. And then you have Sarr at the 5. You draft him 1-1. Is that a hashtag squad? Is that what we would call that? it's somewhere up there. That team is winning at least 25 games. Oh, the team still stinks. The motherfuckers won like 10 games this last year. I would murder somebody to win 25 games. Are you kidding me? What's crazy is I haven't seen this talked about enough. Capital H horse shit that a team that made the play-in can win the lottery. I understand why, because they technically lost in the play-in, so they didn't make the playoffs. They are technically a lottery team. Fuck off. That team was playing for a spot in the playoffs. They were about to be food for Boston, and you're telling me the alternative. I'm riling myself up. You're telling me that the team that almost made the playoffs, and technically, it was a disappointing season. Trae was hurt. Bullshit happened during the season. Whatever. Quinn Snyder and his bullshit fake hair, like what factory-made hair, Temu ass hair, whatever. When did Temu? I don't care about that conversation anymore. When did Temu replace Wish? When did that happen, and why did that happen? What does that market look like? Is it? I feel like it all comes from the same factory. Although that factory is probably like 16 different factories, and they're all probably the size of like those Tesla like gigafactories that fucker is building down in like Texas. Probably like 16 of those. I was reading a whole thing about fast fashion the other day. Probably one of the more awakening things that I experienced in California I remember I went into the office one day. Guy I was working with was like, he's like, "Oh, where'd you get that?" And I was like, H&M. He was like, I was like, "What?" I was like, "What the fuck? What is wrong with H&M?" And he explained to me what fast fashion is. And I like went home. I remember I watched a document. I say I went home. I was living in motherfucking hotels. That's why I was shopping at H&M. It's $5 for a t-shirt. Yes, I'm living in hotels, Sean. I went home. I watched like a whole I took like 100 milligrams of gummies and watched a documentary on fast fashion. I was like, what the fuck is this? Speaking of which, Grandma, I'm not being funny. Skip ahead. I'm about to talk about something. Mom, I guess you can listen to this if you want. Grandma, don't listen to this. I'm about to talk about something very violent, and I don't want to rile you up, and I don't want to upset you. So I'm going to give you a second to move ahead. Great. I was watching a whole thing the other day. A guy wearing a GoPro, and it was a Ukrainian, and he was fighting in the trenches. I think they were in Bakhmut or somewhere in eastern Ukraine. It's trench warfare. And so many interesting things are happening in Ukraine where there's like this weird phenomenon where Russians don't know how to kill themselves. These like 19-year-old conscripts, some of them who, by the way, are Ukrainian themselves, who are just in occupied territory, and then the Russians are like, "Hey, you're fighting for us now." But some of them are like legitimate Russian conscripts. They like find themselves in these foxholes, and there's a lot of discourse happening on the internet right now about how to properly. I don't know if how I should censor myself here to not get. Who cares if I get flagged? I don't make money off of the show. About how there's a lot of discourse about how to kill yourself effectively as a Russian conscript with an M2 grenade. And the problem is what these Russians keep doing is they keep I watched a video of, again, this is violent. I'm not, so if this is going to upset you, then please skip ahead. Use the timestamps to your advantage here. This is me stalling to give you some time to skip ahead. So, all right, let's get to it now. I watched a video of a dude. He pulls the pin and he holds it away from himself like this and then like looks away. And what do you think happened? The motherfucker's hand just gets blown off, and then he's like, "Oh shit." He's like, "I'm still alive." So then you watch him take a grenade in the other hand that he still has, bites the fuse, the pin, whatever the fuck, holds it away from him again, and with his little stub while he's bleeding out, covers his face and looks away. And then what happens? Dog, he survived both. It wasn't, say M2 grenades, whatever the little bitch ones are. They like didn't explode at all. They were like little fire. They were like I just said M2. What are the little firecrackers? I can't think of what those are. Maybe those are M2s, whatever they are. It was like a little pa is all that it was. So then he's just sitting here, and he's sitting there screaming with no hands. This is happening in real time. Like, this happened like a week ago in like I was just like sitting here like twiddling my thumbs, like feeding my son, and there's like a conscript out there with no hands. Like he's like, how do I kill myself? And then there's this. People were like, well, so here's what you really need to do. Here's what you really need to, I guess this is my Reddit voice. Here's what you really need to do when you want to kill yourself with a grenade. What you need to do is you need to pull the pin, and you need to set it behind your neck and pinch it and squeeze it, and then it'll blow your shit out. Another one that I did watch a video about this too. They pull the pin, and then they just tuck it in their shirt, and they just hold it to their chest, like around their heart, and then that does the trick. And you're probably like, why the fuck are they doing this? Why are they doing this? Well, usually what it is because they see the drone. They see the drone, or they see, there's an advance or whatever it is. And you just watch these dudes, man. You just watch them in real time, just blow themselves up. You're like, Jesus Christ. But the reason I brought this up was I watched a video of a dude like fucking around. He's going, trench to trench with his platoon, and he like drops down in one, and it's subtitled, and he's like, he drops down on this Russian kid who like, I definitely watched a war crime. I know, like, it's what it was. I know it's like, oh, it was Ukraine. It was against a Russian. Who cares? No, it was fucked up. It was fucked up. He drops into this trench, and he was like, it wasn't greetings. It was something greetings adjacent that was funny. But he was like, greetings, we are the Ukrainians, and just in his fucking head. And you're like, whoa, that was fucked up. What was that? And then I watched, there's a film that was supposed to not premiere, but there was supposed to be a showing of it at Cannes Festival in France this past weekend, and it's a 45-minute essentially short film of the October 7th Hamas attacks. What the fuck was I talking? Why am I even talking? Dog, we were talking about the Pistons president of basketball operations. And now I'm like, yeah, I was watching like CCTV and body cam footage of like Hamas terrorists. It's fucked, man. I was watching this video. What is the movie called? It's like We Are All Witnesses or something. That makes it sound like it's like LeBron. We Are All Witnesses or something. Imagine that. Undisputed teams up with the IDF to. This isn't funny. But goddamn, you watch some of the raw footage from the. Oh my god. Ooh, there's some. Oof. And it's insane that all of this shit is just accessible on the internet. Anybody can go look it up. Anybody can go look this up, and then you just have to live with it, and you just have to go to sleep. I will never forget. Again, this segment, I can already tell I will have to put in the timestamps that we are talking about, like, some very gratuitous shit. So at this point, you've had your warnings, and I'm just going to let it fly. I don't know why I'm still doing this, but I am. I remember being, like, 10, and when I talk about, like, having unrestricted internet access at a point in time where the internet was like the Wild West while I was growing up, and like the irreparable damage that it did to me. And that's why I know now that as a father, one of the only things that I very confidently can say I will know how to teach our son is like internet literacy and media literacy. I was like 10. The amount of videos that I watched of dudes just like blowing their heads off is insane. And like I remember like some nights I was like, this is fucked up. I don't like that. This is like weirdly traumatic to me. I don't really know why I'm sharing this at all. I remember just like laying there, like I had to go to like 6th grade the next day. I was just like sitting there being like, I like couldn't sleep. Cause I was like, why did I just watch all that shit? Like it's like a morbid curiosity, and then you actually see it, and then you're like, Jesus Christ. Alrighty, folks, I'm going to do a very brief check of the notes here really quick to make sure that I hit everything that I wanted to hit. Yeah, it looks like I did. I mean, technically, there was one other thing that I wanted to hit on here. Happy Gemini season to everybody out there who celebrates. I myself am a Gemini. I'm a June Gemini. May Geminis aren't real. May Gemini erasure. I was texting a friend the other day, and he asked me something about, like, oh, if you were a dictator or some bullshit, whatever it was. He's like, what would you do? And he's like, here's all this shit that I would do. and it was like a bunch of like cool progressive shit that I agreed with. And I was like, a dictator? I was like, here's the thing. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. Me specifically, you give me any bit of power, I'm doing the most evil shit in the world. I just am. It's going to get to my head. I'm taking bribes. I'm jailing political opponents. I'm probably jailing constituents. I'm evil, man. Like, I'm doing the worst shit. There's going to be like a state-run media. Everything comes across my desk. If there's something out there that I don't like we're suppressing that shit. Like, you give me any power at all, that's 100% what I'm doing. Are you out of your mind? Talk about like, free healthcare. Fuck that. Everyone go to prison. Everybody go to jail. I want to ride like some roller coasters with no lines and shit like that. I don't even like roller coasters literally at all. I don't know why I use that as an example. I want to eat all of the hot dogs by myself. Nobody else can buy the hot dogs. The ballpark dogs. Ooh, what? There's a question. Nah, I'm not going to ask that question. Here's a different question. We have a lot of non-American listeners. If you've made it this far in the episode, I have a question for you guys. How many states can you name outside of like you're going to be, New York, California, Florida? Not those ones. Not those ones. How many states can you name? Like, is that like I don't want to say is that part of your curriculum, because like, no, it fucking wouldn't be. But is that like, it's 50 states, so it's hard to know. But as somebody who geographically, I think, although no, because the only reason I'm good with geography is because I did it on my own time, and it's just because the political part of it is why I know. It's not like really in school they were like, so here's Azerbaijan, and here's my thing: is motherfuckers talking about like, ooh, so what's gonna happen to Iran now? Oh, are they gonna put the hands of the country into some other schizophrenic guy? Oh, what if he gets his hands on all the nukes? I think Iran needs to get their hands on a fucking GPS by the sounds of it, flying in all that goddamn fog. That's what we should be worried about, not the goddamn nukes. We should be worried about the Iranian government knowing where they're flying into a goddamn mountain. Alrighty, folks, if you are listening to this on Spotify, be sure to rate 5 stars. Unfortunately, you cannot leave a review. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, maybe a nice little comment for the algorithm, perchance. I think that's all I got today, folks. I will catch you guys in the next one.
Beautiful. Primary control. Beautiful. Primary control. Beautiful. Primary control.